Our second race of the day here then at Salbris is our second chance heat. The top 28 drivers from yesterday's heats are already through to the finals. There are 6 places left at the back of the grid. And this is the last chance, Matt, for these drivers to continue their racing. If you finish in the top 6, you'll be on the back of the grid. If you finish outside the top 6, I'm afraid you're going home.
You certainly are. So this is the final bit for those seniors out there, and the way the grid lines up for this second chance heat is going to be as follows. On pole position is going to be Nicholas Pico. Alongside him will be that of Baz Delart. Back on row 2 we then see Victor Oberg and Christopher Drayspring. Then there on row 3 it's going to be Roman Jaloux with Petri Brazel alongside. Back on row 4 it's then going to be Sam Schmelt and Oliver Askew. Both of those did fairly well yesterday but didn't quite get the results they needed to get through to pre-final, so they're there, row 4. Row 5 then sees Ante Johansson with alongside him Robert Whiting. Back on row 6 we'll see Michael Stapinski and Josh White, another man to look out for in this second chance heat. Then we see row 7 Leonard Van Bogart and Callie Astrand. Further back on row 8 is Bryce Choker and Andrew Williamson. Then to row 9 is Rasmus Fredel and Luke Nott, and inside the top 20 on row 10 Thomas Hudia and Thomas Drouet. Row 11 then sees Mick Vishofer, who of course has done fairly well over the last few years but way down in this second chance heat. He's got Tom Croydon alongside. Row 12 we've got the likes of Sanny van Wangensveld, who had plenty of support yesterday on the social stream. He's out on row 12 with Gabriel Delgado Barrios. And row 13, Maximilian Schmidt with Dave Bloom. Row 14 is Jonathan Aberdeen and Kezia Santosa. Row 15 is Gary Donnelly, who hasn't had the best weekend after a good Winter Cup 6 weeks ago, with alongside him Alessandro Trombelli. And the final row of this second chance heat will be the likes of Luke Montford and Jacques-Marty Paulin. So all of these to look out for. 32 on the grid, only 6 can make it through. 26 drivers are going to be very unhappy at the end of this 9-lap race, Chris.
Yes, indeed. Thanks, Matt. Matt Suckling and myself, Chris Hartley, on the commentary here for you at Salbris. So some quick drivers in this one who had a bit of bad luck yesterday. Victor Oberg is going to be third on the grid. The Swedish driver finished 4th in the championship last year. Nicola Pico on pole position is a quick driver here in his home country, the Sodi Kart man. Baz Delart should, you'd think, stay in the top 6 as well. He's second on the grid, the Dutch driver. We've also got Oliver Askew, the American, who's a quick driver, has in recent years finished in the top 3 in the grand finals, the World Championship event. The American is just outside the top 6. Robert Whiting, who finished 7th in the South African Championships last year, he has a chance from inside the top 10. Josh White, who a couple of years ago finished 4th in the junior Rotax Euro Challenge, he's going to be one to watch from a little bit further down the grid as well. So we're about to get the race underway. No, we're not. The start line official, Martin B, not happy with the way they are bunched together. So they're going to be sent round for another rolling lap here. So I'll have another minute or two to set the scene for you. So there are 32 drivers out there. Excellent grids here for the first round of the championship. We've got 160 drivers here this weekend, 60 in the juniors and seniors, 40 drivers all thereabouts in the DD2 class, which is going to be the race coming up after this. So this is going to be a 9-lap race, slightly longer than what the juniors had. DD2 will be a 9-lap second chance heat as well. In terms of the front runners from yesterday, we'll be seeing Piers Lehane, the Australian Winter Cup champion of this year and 6th in last year's Euro Challenge. We'll be seeing Piers on pole position here later on in the pre-final after 3 straight wins yesterday. Sam Marsh performing really well for Dan Holland Racing is also somebody that won a heat yesterday. He'll be second on the grid for the pre-final. Berke Besler, as Matt mentioned earlier, having an outstanding weekend, easily his best in Europe so far. The Turkish driver for Buvan Power will be third on the grid. John Stewart, Renus van Kalmthout and Harry Webb will complete the top 6 on the grid for the pre-final later on. So 28 of them have already made it through. 6 more places available, and now they're all being bunched up by our pole sitter here, Nicola Pico, in the 260 kart, the French driver. Just adjusting the carburettor alongside him, just behind him actually, is Victor Oberg. He's going to be on the inside line here from 3rd on the grid, so we'll be looking to hold that inside line and box out Baz Delart and perhaps steal that 2nd place through the first 2 turns. Now you can see the back of the karts heading into the final turn here at turn 11. And there is the view from the gantry looking over the start-finish line as we build up to the race start. This time it's go! The lights go out, the race gets underway, and it's a great start from pole. There's a bit of shenanigans further back. One's gone off But up front, Victor Oberg, I think it's just gone wide. Is that Victor? He got second place into turn 2, but then ran wide. And that has mixed things up a little bit. 2 or 3 dropping down the order as well. And in fact, 6 or 7 dropping down the order down the hairpin as well. It's been a huge tangle down in the midfield at the first hairpin, which is going to put all of that lot out. Meanwhile, Pico is leading the train around the top 6 or 7. There was a bit of mixing up there, 1 or 2 changed positions, but they've all survived. So we had a couple of bits of contact at turn 1. One kart went right off the circuit. 6 or 7 down at the hairpin. We'll try and identify them as they come back round. All but one of them, it looks like, have managed to get going again. So one very disappointed driver walks away and will not even get to the third corner of the first lap. But at the head of the field now, it's Oberg, I think, that's going to arrive first. So Victor Oberg has managed to get himself into the lead of the race here. Lap number 1 is complete. Right behind him, though, is the pole sitter, Nicola Pico. A little bit of a gap then to Christopher Dreispring, the German driver. And it's side by side for 4th. Oliver Askew having a go at Sam Smelt now as they go down into turn 2. So those two switch around. Oliver Askew getting himself up to 4th place. Antti Johansson is in 6th at the end of the first lap. Robert Whiting is in 7th place and has made up some positions. Bas de Laat, I think, was the one I saw running wide at turn 2. So he made a decent start, I think, but Bas de Laat then from the outside line getting boxed out. And from 2nd, he's dropped down to 8th place, Matt.
Yeah, but just to let you know, turn 1, Thomas Hoodier was off the track, so he was one who dropped to the back. And Luke Knott, I think, was involved in that incident at turn 2, amongst many others as well. So lots going on the first lap of this race. We're now with 8 laps to go, 7 very shortly. But up front, it's going to be a great job being done by Victor Oberg. He's leading away down towards the left-hander at turn 10, right on his tail. In fact, there's a change. Nicholas Pico leads ahead of Victor Oberg. They are your top 2. And then, of course, the rest of the field will charge their way through once again. We'll see this time round what the gaps are going to be. Not much at all between the top 3. They're in 3rd place is going to be Christopher Dreispring, so a good job from kart 217 at the minute. And the top 3 just eking away out front. We've got 7 towards the head, so one of them is going to lose out, unfortunately. We've got Ollie Askew up there as well, 4th for him. Antti Johansson is 5th, Sam Smelt and Robert Whiting, the man just on the cusp at the minute, 7th place as they head down the back straight once again. And I don't think the rest are going to catch at the minute, but if they can work together, it may just happen. Petri Bazell 8th and Bas de Laat in 9th.
Yeah, Mick Wieshofer was the driver that didn't make it around the first lap. One of the quick drivers that got involved in the tangles on lap 1 was Josh White. He's lost a lot of places. But somebody that's made up a huge amount of ground, worked his way through all the dramas, is Gary Donnelly. Didn't get a chance to mention him before the start of the race, but Gary was one of the stars at Campios at the Winter Cup. And the Irishman was very quick throughout the course of the heats. Looked like he was going to be on for a podium. We've got somebody slowing here with a problem from inside the top 6. And pulling off the circuit, I'm afraid, is number 217, Christopher Dreispring. Christopher was in 3rd place, on for qualification, and the kart just died, ground to a halt, and he's pulled off the circuit at turn 10 towards the end of lap number 2. His misfortune will put somebody else up into the top 6, so it's Pico leading. Oberg's down to 2nd. Oliver Askew having a really good drive in 3rd now. Anthony Johansson is 4th. Robert Whiting is up to 5th. Petra Betzel comes into the top 6. Sam Smelt 7th. Bas de Laat 8th. And Gary Donnelly, the aforementioned Gary Donnelly, from way down, 29th on the grid, is now in 9th place, just ahead of Jakomati Paulin. So had a miserable day on Friday. Had an even worse day yesterday, did Gary Donnelly. But the pace is there now, and he could still get himself in the top 6 here with 6 laps to go, including this one, Matt.
Yeah, don't count him out just yet. I think the top 4 have just got enough of a break now ahead of the chasing pack as they head through the left-hander at turn 10. There's 5th, 6th and 7th to watch out for. We've got Robert Whiting, Petri Bazell and Sam Smelt. So Sam's the one on the attack at the minute as they head through for another time. On to lap number 5, they now go down towards turn 1. Any changes that time? Not quite. Sam Smelt, in fact, did lose a plate, and there's going to be a change up towards the head. Yeah,
for 2nd place, going into turn 2. Oliver Askew slipstreaming past Victor Oberg. So Oliver Askew now absolutely flying in this race, finds himself up in 2nd position. He's made up bags of time here from 8th on the grid, so looking comfortable and looking quick. Perhaps one of the American drivers that wasn't really liking the wet weather conditions yesterday, but now it's dry. He's back on form, Matt.
Yeah, and just someone else who had a problem that time round, Sam Schmelt, was 7th place, now down to 11th, so I'm not too sure what's gone with Sam for 5th place, so there's been a change as well. Down the inside goes Petri Bazell, getting himself past Robert Whiting, so a great move there, but still the top 4 head and shoulders above everyone else in this race at the minute. It's that battle behind that we need to keep a very keen eye on, so Petri Bazell, by the looks of it, is headed to the front. He has. Behind him then is going to be Robert Whiting, and then the scrap continues on further back as right on the bumper now coming through there. Looks to be Gary Donnelly, so correct. He's doing a good job in kart 240. Through he goes this time, and he's 7th place, just behind Whiting.
Gary Donnelly looks to the inside. He's 8th. He's going for 7th. He's going up the inside, trying to get 6th. There's a bit of contact. Bastard got held up there. He's lost 3 or 4 positions. Somebody else gets delayed. I think was that totally uninvolved in all of that, but just caught the back end of the incident. And that was James Williamson, I think. Yeah, Andrew Williamson. Andrew was in 10th place at the start of the lap. It wasn't really his incident, I don't think. He just caught the back end of it. And that heavily delayed him as well. But that was the case, Matt. There were, for that 5th place, there were 5 of them all vying for 2 positions. They tried to squeeze into the hairpin. Gary Donnelly had a look at the inside. It was just racing, really. They were just trying to squeeze into a narrow area. And there were bits of contact. And that gives now our top 4 a huge amount of breathing space. And Nicola Pico leading the way. The top 4 don't need to fight each other at all. Here they come to start a new lap. Pico head down, pulling away from Askew now. In 3rd, we got Antti Johansson. Victor Oberg, I don't think he's just fighting them. He's just trying to get through. So he doesn't really care if he finishes 3rd or 4th. And he's at the back of that group. Petra Betzel is 5th. Gary Donnelly got through all of that. Did get 6th place. So he's in the qualification positions now. But he's got Jakomati Paulin and Robert Whiting in 7th and 8th. Not that far behind him, Matt.
Yeah, and also Dave Bloom is on the back of that train as well. So 5 karts are there, and there's only going to be a couple that get themselves through. The top 4 looking okay still. We're still Nicholas Pico ahead. Oliver Askew 2nd, Antti Johansson 3rd, and Victor Oberg in 4th place. There go the train of 5 karts through. The left-hander now heading down towards turn 7. Anyone going to make a move this time? Not quite. The door was briefly left open there from Petri Bazell, but they're all just waiting. There's still 2 laps to go at the end of this one. So they don't want to make too many moves early on here because they want to leave it until the last few corners of the race. There goes a move. Gary Donnelly looking down the inside there. They're going to be side by side through the corner. The 244 car is going to try and hold on Petri Bazell, which he just about does there, but then Gary Donnelly is going to be under attack through the final corner. Onto the start finish line they come, and who's going to try and make a move this time? No one. Oh yes, they are. 229 down the inside line. What can Giacomato pull in do? Oh, it's going to be tight into that corner. They all just about survive it, and Gary Donnelly may have lost a couple of places.
Yeah, he's going to lose 2. Jakomati Paulin got through up the inside. Dave Blom, I think it was, following him through. And Robert Whiting almost made it past as well. But Gary Donnelly, having gone for 5th place, has ended up putting himself out of the top 6 now. Of course, it will improve your grid if you finish 5th rather than 6th, but you're still going to be near the back. And you know the most important thing is just to get through. So anyway, I suppose he felt like he was being held up by Petra Betzel, wanted to get through, wanted to pull away from the pack, but it's not worked for him at the moment. 2 laps to, well, 1 and a bit laps to go actually. Last lap board will be held aloft next time around, and Gary now has to fight back, but he's only 1 place out of the running here, and he's got the speed. Last lap then, Oliver Askew, while all that was going on, took the lead of the race. I thought he was about to, because he absolutely flew after Nicola Pico. 3rd is Johansson, 4th is Oberg, 5th and 6th then about to change as Dave Blom looks down the inside and gets past Petra Betzel, and from inside that group as well, somebody running really wide there. Is that Robert Whiting that dropped right to the back of the group? 229, that was Paulin, wasn't it? The other driver with the white helmet. So Jakomati Paulin at turn 2, dropping way down the order, and they're all going for it at the end of the back straight here. This is fantastic. 5th, 6th and 7th. 2 places available. 5th will now pull away, and now there's a huge coup, bit of contact as well on the way into the left-hander. So now it's all about this battle for 6th position with less than half a lap to go, Matt. The top 4 are sorted. 5th seems to be sorted, but everybody going for that last place in 6th position as Blom looks to pull clear in 5th place.
There's about 8 or 9 karts who want to take that final few places inside the top 6. The checker flag is out, and just to let you know, and it's going to be a win there for Oliver Askew. I think the top 5 are safe. Who's going to get the final step onside the top 6? Here they come through the final corner, and 6th place will go to the likes of 244, which is Petri Bazell. He holds on by a very small margin there, and Gary Donnelly will miss out, unfortunately, as they all take the checker flag. So just a recap of that one, up front we knew the top 4 were very much safe for the 9 laps of that race. Oliver Askew won in the end by 0.2 of a second. Nicolas Pico, the Frenchman, came home second. Antti Johansson was then third, and Victor Oberg did well to hold on to that fourth place throughout the race. Dave Blom then for fifth, sixth place for Petri Brazil, and it's very, very close indeed. Just 1/10 of a second separates the sixth man to the seventh place man, and Gary Donnelly is that man who will miss out and take no further part in pre-final or final. Sam Schmelk gets 8th place for KR Sport. Lennart van Bogart and Roman Jaloux in 10th place. A little bit further back, there's Kalle Astrand in 12th, the Swede. Behind them in 13th place was then going to be Baz Delart. Good job there for Baz, but unfortunately not as good as he needed to be. Andrew Williamson and Jacomati Paulin in 15th place. Luke Montfort and Sanavan Vangensveld. Thomas Hudia, Gabriel Delgado Barrios and Maximilian Schmidt in 20th place. Then back in 22nd was Josh White. Bad weekend for Josh for the Birrell ART team. And then further back, Thomas Drouet in 25th place. 26th, Luke Knott. Tom Croydon in 27th. And then non-finishes for the likes of Christopher Drakespring, Rasmus Friedel, Jonathan Aberdeen, Alessandro Trombelli, and a non-start there for Mick Vishofer. But well done to the top 6. They get themselves through to the pre-final.